Something that most people don't realize is that successful people deal with imposter syndrome all the time. They are critical of themselves. They feel like they're not good enough. And then they're wondering, how can I do this? How can I accomplish my goals? Have you ever felt that way? The truth is that everybody that's ever accomplished big things, done great things, gone after their dreams felt this way. But we believe that we can't go after our goals until we stop feeling this way, until we stop being critical of ourselves, until we finally feel good enough to do the things that it takes to be successful. Here's the thing. I'm here to tell you this, is that no matter what you accomplish, this is kind of an insider look after working with people that are very successful, working with experts, and in my own business and life, is that no matter what level of success you have, you are not going to feel like you've arrived, that you feel like you're good enough to do everything that you're going out and doing. So how do we deal with this? How do we powerfully deal with imposter syndrome? It actually comes from not being so critical of yourself, not looking at yourself and saying, oh, well, I have to be this way until I can be successful, and giving yourself grace to learn what you don't know, to learn how to do new things, to get help in the areas that you don't know how to do stuff, and to really be honest with yourself and say, hey, listen, I'm not the best at this. That doesn't mean that I'm any less powerful, any less valuable, and here's the big one, it doesn't mean that I can't go out there and do the thing that I'm setting out to do. It doesn't mean that I can't go after my goals. Many times if we're critical of other people and we're like, well, they don't know how to do that, so they shouldn't be doing that, we hold ourselves to that same standard. Have you ever felt this way, that you just don't know everything to start to go after something? Do you feel like, maybe you have clients that you want to work with, but you're not an expert in their industry? Or maybe you're trying something new and you feel like, I don't know all the pieces, so I can't get started. And once I have everything together, then I will finally start to get started. Here's the thing. You're not going to gain the confidence and the experience to do that thing until you get started without feeling good enough. You have to get started without having that confidence, without having that certainty. You're going to develop that confidence by taking action and moving forward, even when you don't feel like you're good enough. And that comes from giving yourself grace and not being overly critical of your mistakes. You acknowledge the mistakes. You say, okay, what can I learn from this? And then you move forward quickly. You don't ruminate on the mistake. You don't stay stuck on it. And this is how successful people deal with imposter syndrome. They feel like, okay, listen, if I'm not good enough at something, I'm going to try it. I'm going to get better at it. I'm going to keep practicing. Listen, athletes, experts, people that we look up to, heroes, they oftentimes do not feel like they are good enough, but they know that staying consistent towards their goals is what's going to get them to that next level. Staying consistent and not being critical of their failures. That's the biggest, most common factor that I've ever seen in researching people in my own life, is that as soon as I stopped being so critical of my mistakes and actually gave myself grace to make mistakes, saying it's okay to make a mistake, it's okay to mess up as long as I learn from it and keep moving forward. But if we're working in our lives just trying to avoid making mistakes, we're not going to take the actions. We're not going to make the powerful decisions to ever get better at something, because we're so fearful of how we look, how other people are going to judge us. And many times this comes from being hypercritical of ourselves, the self-talk that we have. The words that we hear from other people validate and resonate with that own critical nature that we have inside of ourselves. So we have to give ourselves grace. Stop being so critical of ourselves. And ultimately, this comes down to, as well, being less critical of other people. If we give other people grace to make mistakes, if we have compassion for others when they make mistakes, we'll start to have compassion of ourselves when we make mistakes. Listen, have you ever looked at a child that messes up, that falls down, that skins their knee? Are you being super critical of them and saying that they need to, they don't have what it takes to do that? Or are you being supportive? That's how you need to talk to yourself. Okay? Listen, I'm not supporting repeated like horrible activities that people are doing, stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about here. But for you to grow and to go after your dreams, to walk powerfully, to move past this imposter syndrome, give yourself grace. Treat yourself in a loving way. When you make mistakes, having compassion for yourself. I hear often people say, well, you know what? Especially people that are very critical. Listen, nobody gave me compassion, so why would I ever give them compassion, right? And that might be a shift that you need to make in your life. Start to give yourself and others grace and compassion. Listen, I get it. Nobody's going to arrive. Nobody's going to show up to take care of you. Nobody's going to show up to give you a hand up. That's why you need to do it for yourself. If nobody in your life is being supportive of you, showing you compassion, then more than ever, you need to be compassionate to yourself, being less critical of yourself and things. And then that's how you can start to make plans for, hey, listen, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to get the help that I need in this area. And I'm going to put one foot in front of the other to keep moving forward towards my goals. I'm not going to let this feeling inside of me of not being good enough keep me from making the decisions, making the choices, getting the help that I need, and growing, because that's your responsibility, to grow and to learn what you don't know, to start to keep moving forward. And so for you, how do we move past imposter syndrome? Powerfully. It starts with stop being critical of yourself. That's the first step right there. Giving yourself grace, making a plan, putting one foot in front of the other. Even when you don't feel good enough, taking the steps forward. It could be as simple as journaling, writing some things down on a piece of paper, journaling, going over, okay, what do I need to learn? Making some columns. What do I know? What don't I know? What do I need help with? And being real honest with ourselves and looking inside and saying, okay, this is what I need to learn. This is what I need help with. It's okay. I don't need to have all the pieces together. I don't need to know everything to be safe, but I can keep putting one foot in front of the other and rolling with that forward momentum that comes in. And so if you're somebody that right now you don't feel confident enough to go after your dreams, you don't feel good enough to go after your goals, you're being critical of yourself, listen, I give you permission to make mistakes today. It's okay. And I know that I don't need to give you permission. Nobody needs to give you permission to go after your dreams. But some of you I know watching this right now, you feel like you're just not good enough to do the things that are in your heart. It's okay. What is inside of you, your worth, feeling good enough, does not come from what you do. And that's the truth. Well, you feel like, well, maybe I don't do good enough, right? Over time, we can grow and learn what we don't know and do the impossible things that we've never done before. That's how anybody who's an expert or a success at anything that they do moves into that place by giving themselves grace to learn what they don't know, to keep the ball rolling, to keep the forward momentum, to stay consistent, and to keep moving forward towards their goals. So grow your life, everybody. We're going into the weekend this week. Give yourself some time. Take some time to relax. Take some time to put your head down. Block out some time. Be intentional with your time. Be intentional with your choices, your decisions, and your actions. And keep moving forward towards your goals. We'll talk soon, everybody.